Moving on, let's turn our attention to South Africa now. President Ramaphosa is on a three-nation visit to Southeast Asia. He seeks to boost strategic ties with the region amid strained ties with the US. Ramaphosa kicked off his visit earlier this week, and his first stop was Indonesia. During his first state visit to the Southeast Asian country, Ramaphosa met with his Indonesian counterpart, Prabowo Subianto, in Jakarta. The two leaders held talks on boosting trade, investment, and defense ties.
We would like to strengthen this relationship, to enhance this. We are both big countries of the South. We joined BRICS, and
South Africa just pulled off one of the most surprising diplomatic moves of the year. While the United States faces growing fallout from President Nu's tariff war, South Africa stepped straight into Asia with a strategy that shocked global analysts. Major deals, powerful partnerships, and a wave of new investments all secured at the perfect moment. Here is how South Africa stunned the world and turned a global trade crisis into a massive national win.
South Africa has achieved a remarkable diplomatic and economic victory during its recent Asia tour, capitalizing on shifts in global trade dynamics and turning what many considered a routine diplomatic mission into a landmark success. Analysts are hailing the tour as a strategic masterstroke, positioning South Africa as a rising power in global trade and demonstrating the country's ability to seize opportunities where traditional economic giants stumble. Over the past several weeks, South Africa's delegation traveled across key Asian economies, engaging in high-level discussions with government officials, business leaders, and investors. The tour resulted in a series of significant agreements and partnerships, including long-term trade deals, investment pledges, and technology collaborations that collectively signal a substantial boost for South Africa's economy. Observers note that these developments are particularly notable because they directly coincide with economic policies in the United States, which have inadvertently created openings for competitors to step in. One of the most important outcomes of the tour was the signing of multiple trade agreements that expand South Africa's exports to major Asian markets. These agreements focus on sectors such as agriculture, mining, manufacturing, and technology, all of which are critical components of South Africa's economic growth strategy. By securing preferential terms for these exports, South Africa is expected to enhance its trade balance, attract foreign investment, and create jobs domestically. Analysts suggest that the deals mark a clear departure from conventional trade patterns, allowing South Africa to diversify its economic partnerships beyond traditional Western markets. In addition to trade agreements, South Africa secured strategic investments from several major Asian firms. These investments, totaling billions in local currency, are directed toward infrastructure projects, renewable energy initiatives, and technology development hubs. Experts note that such investments not only provide immediate economic benefits, but also lay the groundwork for long-term competitiveness in global markets. By partnering with Asian investors, South Africa gains access to advanced technology, improved production capabilities, and stronger market networks, all of which are critical for sustaining growth in an increasingly interconnected world economy. Economic analysts highlight that the timing of South Africa's success is closely linked to policy decisions made by the United States in recent years, particularly the implementation of tariffs aimed at protecting domestic industries. While these measures were intended to benefit the United States, they have had the unintended consequence of creating trade friction with major global partners, increasing costs for importers, and pushing some foreign buyers to explore alternative suppliers. South Africa, recognizing this opportunity, acted swiftly to position itself as a reliable and competitive trading partner in regions affected by these disruptions. This strategic positioning allowed South Africa to offer Asian buyers more favorable terms and reliable supply chains, effectively capitalizing on the United States' reduced market appeal. Analysts note that companies and governments in Asia, wary of uncertainty associated with tariffs and trade barriers, found South Africa's offer of stability and predictability highly attractive. As a result, South Africa not only expanded its market share, but also enhanced its reputation as a dependable and forward-looking economic partner. In addition to the economic gains, the tour strengthened South Africa's diplomatic standing in Asia. The delegation engaged in extensive high-level talks aimed at deepening bilateral cooperation, fostering cultural and educational exchanges, and building frameworks for long-term collaboration. These diplomatic efforts are being recognized as a complementary factor in the country's economic achievements, illustrating the importance of soft power in international trade relations. Experts suggest that South Africa's ability to combine diplomatic engagement with strategic economic planning enhances its credibility and influence on the global stage. Observers also emphasize the contrast between South Africa's successes and the challenges currently facing the United States. While South Africa was securing long-term trade agreements and attracting strategic investment, the United States has experienced pushback from trading partners affected by tariffs, leading to renegotiations, delays, and even cancellations of previously planned deals. This juxtaposition has fueled discussions among economists and policymakers about the unintended consequences of protectionist policies, particularly when other nations are ready to step in and offer alternatives. The economic implications for South Africa are substantial. By diversifying trade and investment partners, the country reduces dependence on any single market, strengthens resilience against global shocks, and creates avenues for technological and industrial advancement. The new agreements are expected to increase South Africa's exports by billions over the next several years, while foreign investment inflows promise to modernize infrastructure, expand energy production, and stimulate job creation. This multifaceted approach ensures that the benefits of the tour are both immediate and long-lasting, positioning South Africa as a competitive player in key industries globally. Industry experts have particularly praised South Africa's approach to leveraging the current trade climate. By focusing on sectors where the United States' tariffs have inadvertently made its own goods less attractive, South Africa was able to capture market share in a way that is both strategic and sustainable. For example, in sectors such as agriculture and manufacturing, South African products are now competing more effectively with those from other global producers, thanks in part to tariff-induced cost shifts. These strategic advantages highlight the importance of nimble economic policymaking and proactive international engagement. Furthermore, the tour emphasized South Africa's commitment to innovation and technology transfer. Partnerships established with Asian firms include collaboration on smart manufacturing, renewable energy, and digital infrastructure. These collaborations provide South Africa with access to cutting-edge technologies that can improve productivity, reduce environmental impact, and support domestic innovation. By embedding technological advancement into its trade and investment strategy, South Africa is positioning itself as not just a supplier of raw materials, but as a hub for value-added goods and services. The response from the international community has been overwhelmingly positive. Analysts, investors, and policymakers alike have recognized South Africa's Asia tour as a model for strategic diplomacy in an era of shifting global trade alliances. By combining economic foresight, diplomatic skill, and proactive engagement with emerging markets, South Africa has demonstrated that smaller economies can achieve outsized influence and tangible results on the world stage. This case is being cited in economic forums as a practical example of how nations can navigate complex global dynamics to achieve national benefit. Critically, the success of South Africa's tour also underscores the risks associated with aggressive trade policies elsewhere. The United States tariffs, intended to protect domestic industries, have inadvertently disrupted global supply chains and created openings for competitors. South Africa's ability to step in and capture market share demonstrates how agile economies can exploit shifts in global trade to their advantage. Economists argue that this situation reinforces the importance of carefully evaluating the broader implications of protectionist measures, especially in a globally interconnected marketplace. Looking ahead, South Africa is well-positioned to build on the momentum generated during its Asia tour. The newly established agreements and investments create a platform for continued growth, while strengthened diplomatic ties offer a framework for deeper cooperation in the future. Experts suggest that if South Africa maintains this strategic approach, it could serve as a blueprint for other emerging economies seeking to expand influence and competitiveness in global trade without relying solely on traditional Western partnerships. In conclusion, South Africa's Asia tour represents a clear and decisive victory in both economic and diplomatic terms. By capitalizing on the unintended consequences of United States tariffs, securing significant trade agreements, attracting major investments, and strengthening diplomatic relationships, South Africa has demonstrated strategic acumen and foresight. The tour not only delivers immediate economic benefits, but also positions the country as a rising force in global commerce, capable of navigating complex trade dynamics and leveraging opportunities in an increasingly competitive international landscape. As global markets continue to evolve, South Africa's approach highlights the potential for emerging economies to assert influence, secure partnerships, and achieve tangible gains in trade and investment. The results of this tour will likely have long-lasting implications, establishing South Africa as a central player in shaping the future of global commerce.